Ethnomusicology, and particularly ethnodoxology, is something kind of new to people and definitely new to missions. Normally I explain that it's a marriage of missiology, anthropology, and music. I think there's a growing excitement, really, to being able to have the freedom to create music in a way that's culturally relevant, but also create music that has a theological depth. One of the challenges I think that I see in doing this kind of work is to encourage people to dig deeper into the Word of God and understand theology and then translate that into a culturally acceptable musical form. The second challenge that I see is to start to develop a sense of cultural pride rather than, wow, this is something that's sinful, we have to kind of leave all of our tradition, all of our heritage. We can't use any of our instruments. So I feel like my job here is to really work myself out of a job, to train up other worship leaders, other ethnomusicologists who can continue on the work, because my time here is limited. It's when a musician comes to me and says, I had no idea that I could use music to share God's love with other people. When a pastor says to me, you know what, I guess we could use traditional drums in our church. And you know what, that would really, really touch people in a special and new way. Those are the things that encourage me to continue.
I kind of pastor doctors, so to speak. I'm not here to really start a church, but I am here to come alongside these young people in 18 to age 25 in the formation of their academic process and also in the formation of their spiritual process where that can happen. For me, on a weekly basis, I'm meeting with medical students every day. I see them in the hospital. I'm there with them 7 hours a day. And you have lots of interesting conversations about various pathologies, and we talk a fair amount about death because death is so prevalent here with an HIV infection rate of about 25% where we're at, and the average life expectancy of less than 45. There's just a plethora of those kind of life and death issues, and we talk about values during the normal academic session. Well, I think mentoring is important for a lot of reasons. One of them is just the most natural thing in the world. You begin at a small age and then you grow up. You don't necessarily mature. Some people get older, but they don't mature. And I think that's one of the reasons that mentoring comes into play. In terms of a doctor's life or a professional, that's actually part of our creed, part of our oath, that we will in fact mentor and train and push others to be just like we are, at least cookie cutters of what we are, if not better. And the profession itself understands clearly that you have to spend a lot of time working and molding somebody to become professionally what you're like.
In the mornings, the girls are attending Escola Portuguesa, which is a private Portuguese school for language acquisition, socialization, because we want them to be able to interact with Mozambicans, to have friendships, and to actually engage in the culture. In the afternoons, then, we also have a homeschooling curriculum that we're working through to make sure that they're kind of up to snuff with American schooling and education.
So at night, one of the things that we do is we sit down at the table together, and after we eat, we sit and read a Bible story.
Zelza, and they will say
we kind of play a Jeopardy-like game, and they each get their points. And those kind of biblical knowledge pieces, those really help to lay a foundation, an understanding of God's working in history. And eventually one of the things we hope to relate is that history didn't really stop when Jesus died and when the book of Acts was completed, but really it's moved forward through 2,000 years, and that they're part of that history that relates back to a young boy named Samuel, and then David and Saul and all of those other pieces that they're learning about now. Megan and I have both seen that we have certain giftings, predilections, abilities, and those are really being tapped into here in Mozambique. And in terms of the way that we're able to relate to younger people and to the church here in Mozambique and where it's at and what we're capable of doing. And the first thing, of course, is obedience. And even if those things weren't true, this is where we should be. We obey his call in our lives. But the other piece is, in confirmation of that, we've just seen lots of like, oh, there's the real Megan coming forward. There's the true Jordan coming forward. There's the real Brian moving forward in the giftings and the callings that he has.
It's a huge blessing to be able to learn how to love God and love our neighbors here in Beira, and then watch our kids learn how to do that as well, from having an opportunity to go and visit an orphanage on the weekend to interacting with people who are in and out of our house. I really can't think of any greater vocation than to do what you're passionate about and then be able to pass on your passions to the next generation. It's a privilege.